Here are some squad goals for future DC films to avoid. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reasons Suicide Squad is hated. For this list, we're looking at the major issues that fans and general cinema goers alike had with the 2016 film Suicide Squad. Number 10. A messy opening, sloppy setup, and way too much exposition. It's a simple but important rule of visual storytelling. Show, don't tell.
It's taken some work, but I finally have them. The worst of the worst.
Unfortunately, when a movie needs to be action-heavy and is juggling an ensemble cast, a filmmaker might not have the leisure of letting the plot reveal itself in its own time. While exposition dumps can be a necessary evil, there are better ways to execute them than this. Suicide Squad essentially opens with Amanda Waller outlining the premise of the film and its cast of characters.
But everyone has a weakness, and a weakness can be leveraged. His is an 11-year-old honor student in Gotham City, his daughter. So we watched her and waited.
Some of these flashbacks are individually interesting, but strung together like this, it plays like a fan film. An explanation as to how the squad works should have been saved for the actual teammates, allowing this film to take off in a less disjointed fashion.
In a world of flying men and monsters, this is the only way to protect our country.
Number 9. The squad should have gone on more missions. The Suicide Squad isn't an old gang of criminals getting together for one last big score. They're supposed to be Amanda Waller's personal problem solvers. And you can bet that Waller has a lot of problems that need solving.
Remember, I'm watching. I see everything.
Part of the fun of the Suicide Squad is that they live up to their name. They're extremely expendable, with members dying off left, right, and center in the comics. Rather than sending Task Force X out to deal with a superhero-worthy world threat, they should have first gone out on a number of smaller, more Black Ops-style missions. This would have allowed the teammates to develop a more believable dynamic, and provide an opportunity to see a few members bite the bullet.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
I'll notify your next of kin.
Number 8. Awkward editing. Some have argued that Suicide Squad was most successful in trailer form, particularly the one set to Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. It was stylish, funny, and promised a zany, over-the-top film worthy of its comic book source material.
Let's go save the world.
Unfortunately, it turns out Warner Brothers was so pleased with the marketing that they opted to scrap director David Ayer's cut of the film and instead have it re-edited by the company that produced the first teaser.
Hey, come on.
What? I saw it move.
The resulting film is one that many cinephiles rank among the worst edited blockbuster movies of all time. The tone is all over the place and the scenes fit together in an incredibly uncomfortable way, particularly the flashbacks.
Oh, relax.
Number 7. It should have been R-rated. As Fox learned with both Deadpool and Logan, an R-rated comic book movie can totally work at the box office. You just need to have faith in the property and the fans.
What? Oops. Y'all jokers must be crazy.
As much as both the aforementioned characters benefited from being allowed to take the story in a less kid-friendly direction, Suicide Squad arguably needed the R rating even more.
Oh! Party foul! Not cool.
This is a story about some of the very worst villains DC Comics has to offer. They are supposed to be, with few exceptions, merciless, immoral, utterly self-interested characters with a violent streak a mile wide. To fit them into a PG-13 mold, and worse, the archetype of the anti-hero, is to rob the team of that which makes them so compelling.
When does this end, Flag?
Load up. We're in for a fight.
Number 6. Visually boring. The marketing for Suicide Squad promised something unique and beautifully chaotic. The trailers oozed with a distinct visual style that suggested that Warner Brothers had really found an aesthetic identity for this property on the big screen. Unfortunately, a lot of that style failed to translate to the big screen.
Huh? What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. The voices.
Sure, there's some contrast between the dark environments and the muted candy colors of Harley Quinn and Joker, but the cinematography feels utterly uninspired, and the action sequences were surprisingly forgettable. Perhaps most egregious, however, is the generic character design of Enchantress and her brother and the lackluster CGI that was used to bring the latter to life.
What's this? It's gonna be bad! We should run.
Number 5. Terrible dialogue. Alright, so remember how earlier we were talking about the trailer set to Bohemian Rhapsody and how great it was? Well, for all its style and action-packed promises, there was one major red flag: the dialogue.
The hell's wrong with you people?
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
That line at the very end of the trailer, "We're bad guys, it's what we do," feels so forced that it would have a fan's stomach bottom out watching it. Unfortunately, rather than just one poorly chosen line of dialogue to include in the trailer, it proved to be very representative of the film's script as a whole.
Every time I put this on, somebody dies.
And?
I like putting it on.
It's all cheesy one-liners, jokes that don't land, and generic badass speak that, quite frankly, makes us think that the screenwriters had no idea who each of these characters was, well, beyond basic two-dimensional archetypes.
Well, looky here. Ooh, it's fire. Ooh.
Number 4. No character development. Speaking of two-dimensional, let's take a closer look at these characters. Of the entire squad, only Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and El Diablo get much in the way of character development, or rather, an attempt at it.
Hey, y'all might want to leave old boy alone. He could torch this whole joint. Ain't that right, I say?
You got nothing to worry about from me. I'm cool, homie.
Jay Hernandez is a talented actor, but he simply wasn't given enough to work with. We get it, he's penitent for his past mistakes, but there's nothing else to him in terms of personality. Deadshot's character motivations make sense, but again, the character feels bland.
Hey, a walk in the park. Easy peasy.
Don't make me shoot you.
The dynamic between Joker and Harley could have been the film's beating heart, but the relationship wasn't believable, albeit not quite as bad as the one between Rick Flag and June Moon. As for the rest of the squad, we never really got to know them.
If you have to choose between her or me, stop her. Promise me you'll stop her.
Number 3. Enchantress's motivations. Apparently, writer and director David Ayer had just 6 weeks to put together the screenplay for this movie due to a fixed and fast-approaching release date. This has been blamed for many of the film's shortcomings, but nowhere is the time crunch more obvious than in the machinations of its villain. We get it. Forces of pure malevolent evil have been central to some of the greatest stories ever told. The Lord of the Rings Sauron being just one example, but it takes a great story to carry such a villain. Enchantress sought to conquer Earth and wipe out humankind. Why? Because she's evil.
Lady, you are evil!
Seriously? This felt like a placeholder from an early script draft that they just never got around to replacing.
What did you do? Okay.
Number 2. The forgettable plot. Enchantress might not have been a villain worthy of the Suicide Squad, but she should by no means be held solely responsible for the yawns this film induced. The entire plot felt DOA.
Please, please. I'm sorry. I can't do that again.
Flag, get her out of here.
Amanda Waller brought this team together to serve as America's secret weapon. So why not have the story move forward accordingly by sending them out to deal with the government's dirty secrets?
Damn it.
Now that's killer app.
Instead, we get a supernatural threat from within the team, and a paint-by-numbers end-of-the-world plot that feels far more suitable a problem for Superman and company. Honestly, this violent band of misfits has a lot of potential, but it's impossible for them to shine in a plot that feels as if it were ripped from another film.
We just saved the world. A thank you would be nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Jared Leto's portrayal of the Joker. You know what might have solved the plot and villain problems of this film? Actually allowing the clown prince of crime to claim the spotlight he so rightfully deserves.
Are you sweet talking me?
A Alas, such are the pitfalls of trying to build up anticipation for a sequel. And to be quite honest, this reimagined version of the Joker rubbed so many people the wrong way that giving him more screen time may have actually done more harm than good.
Listen, you are my gifts to this handsome hunka.
Leto's take on the Joker is more swagger than insanity, more image-conscious than imaginative. In short, it didn't feel like Leto was inhabiting the role of Joker, but rather playing the Joker as a man putting on a persona. Add to that the tattoos and the grills, and it just didn't work.
Oh, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really bad.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.